Just to kind of mention Tekken 8 real quick. I really do enjoy learning. I enjoy sharing knowledge, insight, whatever. I really do. It's just that I just wish that the game wasn't so fucking wild and crazy. I would be able to take Tekken 8 a lot more seriously if, and even though it won't happen, but if there was a removal of heat and rage. But I know that's not going to happen because heat and rage is basically what Tekken 8 is all about. I just don't see how balancing the characters traditionally is going to really change anything, because you can nerf a Brian Fury, you can nerf King, you can nerf Nina, you can nerf Anna, whatever. But these characters, when they go into heat, it's still gonna be something that pretty much insufferable, you know, to many. So, because it's like you're fighting against the player, you're fighting against their character, and you're fighting against heat and rage, basically, which is the mechanics of the game. And in my time, old man language, we didn't have to deal with that. All we had to deal with was the player and the character. Now you have the fucking mechanic that you have to deal with, and that's the thing that for me, it's a tough pill for me to swallow, because I've been dealing with bullshit characters for like over 20 fucking years, across different type of games. So I'm not, you know, I expect characters to be busted and broken. Like, that's not something that's like, oh, you know, new for me. Okay, let me explain what my thoughts are exactly on Tekken 8 as it relates to heat and rage. The mechanic is not anything that requires a brain. What requires a brain is when you have something that you have to build, and or you have scarcity. Meaning, if you have to actually think, you know what, should I use my heat in this round or next round? Because if I use it, it's gone for the entire fucking game. If I use my rage art in round 1, it's gone for the entire match. That's where shit becomes strategic. It does not become strategic when you're gifted a rage art and heat every single round. That's not anything strategic. That's fucking brain rot. It reminds me of this. He's a good acquaintance of mine. He's an OG, Perfect Legend, and he's a very talented fighting game player, very sharp mind. And so I remember him telling me something, and I think he's complained about this many years ago. He would fight against this other legendary Dead or Alive player named Master, and he used Ryu Hayabusa. So I remember him telling me that, I think it was Dead or Alive 3, there was a stage, it was like a bridge, and if Hayabusa, which is not that hard to do, pops you up and does an Izuna drop on you from the bridge, it takes you from the bridge and you are just spiraling down quite a long time, and it does insane amount of damage. Like, it does an insane amount of fucking damage. What ends up happening is, at the end of the round, instead of you starting the fight at the bottom of the bridge, you start the fight again on the bridge. So all the fucking Ryu player has to do is catch you with another fucking Uzuna drop combo, and the situation resets. That's what heat is like to me. It's like you have access to this mechanic without doing anything. You have access to rage without doing anything outside of you getting your fucking ass beat, and you're gifted this shit every single round. So there's no thought of, well, round one is a close round. If I try to use the rage art in round one, I won't have it for round 2, 3, and possibly 4 and 5. But if I let my opponent, I can't make the comeback for round one, so I'm gonna save it. Or you might think, you know something, I'm not gonna burn the rage art. I'm gonna try my best to make a comeback legitimately so I can keep the rage art just in case. That's strategy. That's you thinking about, okay, like I'm actually planning something, because the mechanic that is available to me from the developers is like there's a scarcity to it. I can't just whore it out every single fucking time. The mere fact that they took away the ability to break crouched grabs is absolutely bullshit. Absolutely bullshit. It was so crazy that I had to actually remind myself, you know, that you can break crouch grabs in Tekken 7. I had to remind, because I was like, wait a second, am I bugging? Because I was like, wait, I could have sworn you could have broke crouching grabs in Tekken 7. And sure enough, yeah, you could. And then on top of that, they for whatever fucking reason, and it's rhetorical, I know why they did it. They took away the ability to chicken in Tekken 8. So now you have the brain rot bitch herself, which is Asuka. So you remove the ability to basically chicken against her, because other characters that had attack reversals like Nina, Anna, Paul, and whoever else, they had to react to your move in a very strict, like there was a stricter timing to utilize their attack reversal, as opposed to somebody like Asuka that could just fucking stand like this for like 20 million frames while she could just pick off just about any fucking attack you do, with the small exception of moves that that your character may have. But it was purposely designed to be this way. This is the reason why I tell people constantly that Tekken 8 was designed specifically for the casuals. And a lot of times when I say this, many people don't quite understand what I mean. They seem to not understand that when I say casuals, it doesn't mean that elite level players can't play the game. Like, I think that's self-explanatory given the fact that we have Knee and Arslan Ash. What this does mean is that it allows the Namco developers to maximize their total addressable market, their TAM, when it comes to the Tekken franchise. Why? Because more often than not, when asked about what is one of the more difficult fighting games, many people will say Tekken. So in an effort to reduce or eliminate that potential barrier, the developers decided to let's make this game more accessible, dumb down certain things, and reduce the amount of time needed to get good doing certain techniques and tactics that would otherwise take a player several months to even years to get down. Whereas you can use a character like Law and look like an elite level Tekken 5 or Tekken 6 level Law player inside of 20 minutes in practice mode. So whenever I try to explain this to people and I try to break this down to people, I either have the few occasional trolls that I have to deal with. I have the over enthusiastic people that want to believe to themselves that Tekken 8 is the greatest Tekken ever created. I laugh at those people because they don't understand that from a development standpoint, whatever identity Tekken had is basically being eroded away. What little Tekken has always been primarily this game that, as far as I'm concerned, a dial a combo game. In fact, that's kind of what the game was labeled as way back in the 90s. They would call it a dial a combo game. So the game ended up having some degree of skill, some degree of I guess time needed to do certain things. But now for Tekken 8, now that's not even a thing. You don't have to do it. Like, even with a character like Heihachi, I call Heihachi Leihachi because he kind of reminds me of Lei when it comes to stances. Like, there was a time where in order to really make Heihachi effective, you really need to master his Electric Wind God Fist. Now, it helps, but if you're not that good at Heihachi's electrics, that's fine because the man has like great stances. They're very useful. They're easily accessible. They each have viable purposes. One has an unbreakable grab that gives you like +7 on once you do it. Actually, no, he has he has an unbreakable grab for one for each stance. One does a shit ton of life. Another one sets you up for like another fucking loop situation. He has a guard break. Like, not saying that Heihachi is a broken character, but they definitely made Heihachi a much more easier character. The barrier to get quote unquote good with Heihachi has been reduced, and so has many other characters. So, when I just look at the mechanics of the game with Heat and Rage, the fact that combos are like damn near 10 to 15 seconds long, which is absolutely ridiculous. The fact there are multiple bounds within a combo. The fact that your heat smash for many characters provides an additional wall splat. Why? Who the fuck knows? Well, I know why. It's rhetorical. Because they want the player to feel powerful. That's something else that a lot of content creators, I don't think they really grasp, because I haven't heard anybody talk about this. The Tekken 8 developers, in addition to wanting to expand their total addressable market, they also wanted those same casual players to feel powerful. This is why in the very beginning, from even before the game came out, Namco was basically saying, or should I say that the Tekken 8 developers, that the theme of Tekken 8 is what? Aggression. So they purposely nerfed a lot of the movement mechanics. They purposely nerfed sidesteps. They purposely nerfed backdashes because they did not want you to get away. They want you to basically get mauled and rush the fuck down. Because it's much easier to mash buttons and have a million advantage on hit and or block than to be playing defensively. To play defensively requires a level of a level of skill that has to be developed. It doesn't take much time to develop MASH. That's the thing. When you're pressing buttons, that doesn't require much thought as opposed to having the thought of being defensive, using your backdashes, your Korean backdashing, your side steps. That requires much more thought than just pressing buttons. So Namco decided to purposely nerf all of those mechanics. And then what ends up happening? The community calls them out on it, and Namco ends up making changes, not because that's what they wanted to do. It was because they did it because they had to do it. That's why. Because they did not want the backlash from the very vocal but small hardcore market of Tekken, which I represent, players like me, to potentially cause an issue with the casuals of whom their market really serves. That's why there's so much crazy, nonsensical things in Tekken 8 as it is. This is why you have a character like Mary Sue. This is why you're going to have future DLC characters that's going to break the game, basically, that's going to be absolutely stupid and egregious. I can guarantee you this. I can guarantee you this. This is why it is the way it is. This is not done on accident. So this is why I kind of laugh when people are like saying, or not saying, but they're hoping for this season 3 to make these changes. And I'm like, I'm over here sitting like, you guys really have no idea that the way this game was intended. This is the reason why, when you really use your brain and ask yourself, why was it in season 1? Why was Jin Kazama allowed to basically disrupt the game the way he was in season 1 for so long? But so many players were complaining about Dragunov, while the whole time Jin Kazama was flying under the radar. That's why, like, with all of those season 1 nerfs, and they were talking about Dragunov. I remember one move in particular. I remember they were talking about Dragunov's down back both kicks. And I'm like, so people are really bitching and complaining about Dragunov's down back 34, and nobody is bitching and complaining about Jin's Scourge down 2, a high crushing low attack that comes out at 21 or 22 frames, that I think it was like minus 12 or some crazy shit like that on block, that sweeped along the ground, gave Oki options, and gave basically a combo on counter hit. But people complained about Dragunov's down back both kicks that required Dragunov to basically be at range 0 because the move had no range and the move had no high crush properties whatsoever, and the move on counter hit, if memory serves, did not even give Dragunov a combo. It did give him +7 on hit. But I'm like, everybody bitched about that, but people hardly complained about Jin's down 2? or the 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, 2-1-4? That bullshit? So I already knew that that Tekken was just it was gonna be what it was gonna be. And and it doesn't surprise me. And it's going to get worse. I'm more confident in saying it's going to get worse than me saying it's going to get better. If it gets better, if Tekken 8 gets better in terms of the frames, the character balancing, this, that, and the other, if it does, I will be very shocked, and I will be happy for the community that wants things to improve beyond what they currently are. But I am not going to hold my breath, and I would suggest those people that want season 3 to be this savior, I would hope for you guys to temper your expectations, because if I had to go by how Namco has shown their prior patches for this game so far, I really can't. I don't have much confidence. And the thing that really sealed the deal for me was what they did, or how they addressed the Clive nerfs. Clive, the very first time they're addressing Clive with that move called Prominence, I think it was forward 1+2. That move basically it pretty much does everything for Clive. And the only thing Namco did to it was make it, I think, -12. I think that's what they. So instead of it being safe at -9, they made it -12. I'm like, you can't be serious. So when I saw that, that pretty much told me everything I needed to know. And when you look at what they tried to introduce with the king, not just king, but if you break a grab, like if you break a grab, you have chip damage. Like, I'm not, I think some people forget this, and the only reason why that is not in the game right now is because of the community. Oh wow, I got a key. Oh wow. Wow, I'm playing this game and I ended up getting a key. That's kind of weird. But yeah, that's the only reason why those changes happened, was because the community pretty much bitched and complained and raised hell, and the developers had no choice but to make those changes. They didn't make those changes out of good faith. You know what I'm saying? So I want people to really understand and recognize that. Let's see. The only question you ask yourself is, can they make the game better in season 1? No. I don't see it. I really hate to be that guy and just be like, there's no hope, it's all doom and gloom. I really hate to be that guy. So I try to just say, I don't see things changing, but could they change? I try to maintain that. I try to have that like 1% of it can happen. But yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like the data trail, like this is where I've been saying, like, if you really observe what patches they've done already, they've done patches already. Look at what they've done. And look at what they tried to put. Like, all right, this is something that I've also said as well. Uh, when when you take into account the aggressive nature of Tekken 8, which is what the developers wanted, does anybody ever ask? Um, does anybody ever really ask? Why did armor attacks? Why did armor attacks also double as heat engagers? Did anybody ever stop to wonder this? I don't think so. Um, I'll just go ahead and answer this right now. Now, this is a theory, so I can't prove this, but this is just 30 years of experience in playing other games and just looking at just I'm just looking at this as just common sense. Since the developers, they I'm going to just zoom in on me. Since the developers, they wanted Tekken 8 to be rooted in aggression. And they also purposely nerfed pretty much all movement laterally and going backwards. So in a game that is prioritizing aggression, they've nerfed movement. What do they possibly, or how do they possibly expect the defensive player to counteract that level of aggression? They do so by utilizing the armor attack. This is the main reason why the armor attack was changed significantly from Tekken 7 to Tekken 8, whereby when you tank an attack from Tekken 7, it would cause permanent damage. Whereas in Tekken 8, it's recoverable damage. And if you just so happen to do an armor attack and the opponent does a fast attack to where they recover in time before your armor attack makes contact on the opponent, the opponent gains the opponent takes chip damage, and the armor attack from the person that did the move becomes neutral on block. If the move had negative frames initially. So once that armor attack makes contact, that defending player is rewarded with what? A heat engager. And if we recall, heat engagers were what? Plus 14 or plus 17 or some shit like that. And now that player can go on their offense. So the pendulum, the aggression pendulum now swung in favor of the defensive player, to where now the offensive player is now on the defensive, and they now have to launch their own armor attack to kind of now change things around. That is how I see what the original vision of Tekken 8 was. But because so many people bitched and complained about the advantage of armor attacks and the heat engager, which was in my view how Tekken was designed to be played. So now you have armor attacks that no longer cause the heat engager, and the heat engager now incurs +9 as opposed to +17 or whatever the fuck it was before. So these changes were basically brought on because the community bitched and complained for them to be enacted upon. If it was not for the community saying anything, I can guarantee you, I usually don't like to talk in absolutes, but I 1,000,000,000% tell you right now, here and now, in this live stream, in this fucking video that you're probably watching after the fact, that there would have been no changes at all, at fucking all, it would have been exactly as it has been from from day one, from Jump Street. But this is the game we're playing, and you know, as far as I'm concerned, it's just, I use Tekken 8 as a tool to potentially grow my channel, and that's it. I don't respect the game. I think the game would be a lot better if Heat and Rage was deleted out of the fucking game. At the very least, a major revision or rework, but I highly doubt either of those things will happen.